Welcome back. We're reading the Mayan Popol Vuh. We're on page 162. And there began their song named Kamaku. They sang out the lament of their very hearts and guts. In their song they stated, "Alas, we were lost at Tulan. We shattered ourselves. We left our elder brothers behind, our younger brothers. Where did they see the sun? Where must they be staying, now that the dawn has come?" They were speaking of the penitents and sacrificers who were the Mexican people. Even though Tohil is his name, he is the same as the god of the Mexican people, who is named Yolquat and Quetzalcoatl, or also I think they call him Quetzalcoatl. When we divided there at Tulan, at Zuya, they left with us, and they shared our identity when we came away. They said among themselves, when they remembered their faraway brothers, elder and younger, the Mexican people whose dawn was there in the place named Mexico today. Think about the symbolism of the dawn. And again some of the people stayed there in the east. Sovereign Oloman is their name. We left them behind, they said. It was great weight on their hearts. Up there on Hakawits, the Tams and the Eloks did likewise, except that they were in the forest. Tam tribe is the name of the place where it dawned for the penitents and sacrifices for the Tams with their god. Think about that? The place where it dawned. What are they talking about? There was just one name for the god of all three divisions of the Quiche people. And again, the name of the god of the Rabenaus was the same. His name was only slightly changed. One Ta is the way the name of the god of the Rabenaus is spoken. They say it that way, but it is meant to be in agreement with the Quiches and with their language. And the language has differentiated in the case of the Caquichels, since their god had a different name when they came from Tulan, Zuya. Snake Tooth is the name of the god of the bat house. Remember, that's in Xibalba, and it's a house filled with bats. And they speak a different language today. Along with their god, the lineages took their names. They are called Keeper of the Bat Mat and Keeper of the Dance Mat. Like their god, their language was differentiated on account of a stone. When they came from Tulan in the darkness, all the tribes were sown and came to light in unity, and each division was allocated a name for its god. And now we shall tell about their stay and their sojourn there on the mountain. The four were there together. The ones named Jaguar Kitse, Jaguar Night, Not Right Now, and Dark Jaguar. Their hearts cried out to Tohil, Oluix, and Hakawits, who were now amid the bromeliads and the hanging mosses. Okay, now we're in the new part. Let's see. And here they burn their copal, and here also is the origin of the masking of Tohil. And they went before Tohil and Oluix. They went to visit them and keep their day. Keep their day. What does that mean? There's a lot of interesting language that's used. Now they gave thanks before them for the dawning, and now they bowed low before their stones, there in the forest. Now it was only a manifestation of his genius that spoke, when the penitents and sacrificers came before Tohil. And what they brought and burned was not great. All they burned before their gods was resin, just bits of pitchy bark, along with marigolds. And when Tohil spoke now, it was only his genius. When the gods taught procedures to the penitents and sacrificers, they said this when they spoke. This very place has become our mountain, our plain. Now that we are yours, our day and our birth have become great, because all the people are yours, all the tribes, and since we are still your companions, even in your citadel we shall give you procedures. Do not reveal us to the tribes when they burn with envy over us. They are truly numerous now, so don't you let us be hunted down. but rather give the creatures of the grasses and grains to us, such as female deer and female birds. Think about that. The gods are asking for female sacrifices here of birds and deer. Please come, give us a little of their blood, take pity on us, and set the pelts of the deer aside, save them. These are for disguises, for deception. They will become deerskin bundles, and they will also serve as our surrogates before the tribes. When you are asked, "Where is Tohil?" then you will show them the deerskin bundle, yet you won't be giving yourselves away. And there is still more for you to do. You will become great in your very being. Defeat all the tribes. They must bring blood and lymph before us. Wow, so the gods here demand blood. The Mayan gods, they demand blood. They must bring blood and lymphs before us. They must come to embrace us. They belong to us already, said Tohil, Olowiks, and Hakawits. They had a youthful appearance when they saw them, and when they came to burn offerings before them. So then began the hunting of the young of all the birds and deer. They were taken in the hunt by the penitents and sacrificers. And when they got hold of the birds and fawns, they would then go to anoint the mouth of the stone of Tohil or Olowiks with the blood of the deer or bird. Okay, so it's like in the Bible, you had to take the blood of a lamb and put it over the door to prevent gods from taking the firstborn kids, right? In the Bible. This is interesting because it's saying the stones had to be wetted with the blood of female birds and deers. This is interesting. And the bloody drink was drunk by the gods. The stone would speak at once when the penitents and sacrificers arrived, when they went to make their burnt offerings. They did the very same thing before the deerskin bundles. They burned resin, and they also burned marigolds and stevia. There was a deerskin bundle for each of the gods, which was displayed there on the mountain. They didn't occupy their houses during the day, but just walked in the mountains, and this was their food. Just the larva of the yellow jacket, the larva of the wasp, and the larva of the bee, which they hunted. As yet there wasn't anything good to eat or drink. Also, it wasn't obvious how to get to their houses, nor was it obvious where the wives stayed. And the tribes were already densely packed, settling down one by one, with each division of a tribe gathering itself together. Now they were crowding the roads. Already their roadways were obvious. What's going on here? It's interesting. As for Jaguar Kitse, Jaguar Night, Not Right Now, and Dark Jaguar, it wasn't obvious where they were. When they saw the people of the tribes passing by on the roads, that was when they would get up on the mountain peaks, just crying out with the cry of the coyote and the cry of the fox. Okay, so the cry of the coyote and the cry of the fox. You know what's interesting is Bernal Diaz, in his Conquest of Spain book, said, the Mayans are different than the Aztecs, yes, but the noises they make of like the animal noises they'd make during battle would frighten the Spaniards, right? And even today in some corridos music, corridos they call it, people make that, oh, hi, 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 yay. Like they make that noise, and it's interesting here in this text, the cry of the coyote and the cry of the fox, because foxes have a weird cry. It reminds me of that. And they would make the cries of the puma and the jaguar. Oh geez, that's scary. Whenever they saw the tribes out walking in numbers. The tribes were saying, it's just a coyote crying out. It's just a fox. Just a puma, just a jaguar. In the minds of all the tribes, it was as if humans weren't involved. Wow, think about that. Oh, so the animal signs were also a trick, right, to give a signal. Instead of them getting nervous, they'd be like, oh, don't worry, it's just an animal. But instead, it was really, a spy or something like that. There's also an interesting scene in Game of Thrones when the Thens, well, the wildlings basically, are going to do their attack on Castle Black. Gilly hears an owl hoot, and she recognizes that that's not a real owl. it's actually a signal something's going to happen, and she's able to hide. And then immediately the wildlings start uh, destroying this town before they march towards Castle Black, right? So animal sounds, right, as a decoy are really interesting, and it seems that it's a strategy that goes all throughout time. That was what their hearts desired. They did it so that the tribes wouldn't get really frightened just yet. That was what they intended when they cried out the cry of the puma and the cry of the jaguar. Oh, so it was on the right path, yeah. And then when they saw just one or two people out walking, they intended to overwhelm them. Each day, when they came back to their houses and wives, they brought just the same things: yellow jacket larvae. Ew, that'd be disgusting. Wasp larvae and bee larvae, and gave them to their wives each day. And when they went before Tohil, Aluix, and Hakawits, they thought to themselves, "They are Tohil, Aluix, and Hakawits, yet we only give them the blood of the deer and birds. We only take stitches in our ears and our elbows when we ask for our strength and for our manhood from Tohil, Aluix, and Hakawits." Wow, so they ask these particular deities for manhood. Interesting. Who will take care of the death of the tribes? Should we just kill them one by one? They said among themselves. And when they went before Tohil, Aluix, and Hakawits, they took stitches in their ears and their elbows in front of the gods. Maybe that was to show how much pain you could endure. Kind of like, I don't remember which part it is in Africa. It might be the Congo, I forget. But they do scarification of like alligator prints. Not alligator, crocodile prints. And it's like a coming of age ritual, right? They scar them up slowly. Slice, 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 slice. And on the backs you can see all these slices to make it look like the crocodile skin. So when they're saying here that they take stitches, they literally might be, because the ears, that would be very painful, right? They're stitching, and on their elbows. So on that part, on your elbow, you're going to bend it a lot, and it's going to rip open. It's going to be super painful. So you're going to have your arm a little weird for a while till those stitches heal up. So altering your body for the gods and their pleasure and for their favor. It's sort of like those weird monks who used to get a leather whip and whip themselves, right? Flagging? I forget what it's called. But this is an interesting theme because this seems to be common in many other faiths, right? Wow. They spilled their blood. They poured gourdfuls into the mouths of the stones. Wow, so they spilled their blood and they poured gourdfuls. So a gourd is like this weird squash thing that you can hollow out, harden and use to carry water. So they filled that full of blood. That's a lot of blood. Into the mouths of the stones. So like on the face of the stones, or where there's a little divot, like a little crevasse in the stone that looks, it's cupped, so when you pour it in, the blood doesn't come out. So they're basically pouring it everywhere. But these weren't really stones. Each one became like a boy when they arrived, happy at once over the blood. And then came a further sign as to what the penitents and sacrificers should do. You must win a great many victories. Your right to do this came from over there at Tulan. When you brought us here, they were told, then the matter of the suckling was set forth at the place called Stagger, and the blood that would result from it, the rainstorm of blood, also became a gift for Tohil, along with Aluix and Hakawits. Now here begins the abduction of the people of the tribes by Jaguar Kitse, Jaguar Night, Not Right Now, and Dark Jaguar. So it seems these four deities, no, are they four? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. They're going to be in charge of taking out the tribes, and this will make Tohil, Aluix, and Hakawits happy. Because this is interesting because they said a blood storm, right? A rainstorm of blood. Means it's just gonna pour out. That's literally the definition of bloodthirsty, right? That's like, I mean, they were an ancient people. It was a different time period, beyond most of our comprehension of how brutal life would be in a jungle like that, where there was real jaguars and pumas ready to eat you, and when pyramids were being built, It's a different time, so we must have respect. But it is fascinating, their whole mythology. To them, it's their theology. To us today, it's mythology. But their whole lore and background is fascinating. Truly fascinating. Wow. They were truly fierce. The Spaniards, when they went to the Aztecs and the part of the Mayans, right, you have to really see what they were dealing with. These were not no wimps of a people. Definitely not. Definitely not.